My girlfriend cheated with her ex, now what? Chloe's perfume still hung in the air, a cloying sweetness that usually made me smile. Now, it just felt like a violation. She'd been back from the Denver conference for 3 days, and for 3 days, I'd been picking at the edges of my suspicion, like a scab I couldn't leave alone. It started with the flight confirmation email, or rather, the lack of one. Chloe was meticulous about travel arrangements. Always had been, but when I'd casually asked if she'd made it home all right on the red eye, she just said, yeah, all good, and changed the subject. No complaining about turbulence, no mention of the screaming baby 3 rows back, nothing. Just vague. Then there was the hotel receipt, not a physical one, but a push notification that flashed on my phone while she was in the shower. Ethan Blackwood payment confirmation, the Brown Palace Hotel. I dismissed it initially. A common name, a random coincidence. But the seed of doubt had been planted, taking root in the fertile ground of my anxieties. Ethan, her Ethan, the Ethan. They dated all through college. He was the golden boy, the finance major with the trust fund and the effortless charm. Chloe had always downplayed their relationship, calling it a youthful indiscretion. But I'd seen the photos, the lingering glances, the way her eyes softened when she talked about him, even years later. I told myself I was being ridiculous, paranoid. Chloe loved me, we had a good life. A comfortable apartment, a shared love for bad movies, a future we were slowly, carefully building together. Why would she jeopardize that? But the questions wouldn't stop. The third clue came from her. A slip. We were watching TV and she'd reached for her phone. Oh, Sarah sent me a funny meme, she said, quickly switching apps when I glanced over. But for a split second, I saw a message, preview dinner was great. Thanks again, Sarah. Chloe didn't have a Sarah in Denver, and even if she did, they weren't the type to have dinner together. That's when I knew. Or at least I knew I had to know. I waited until Chloe was asleep, her breathing deep and even beside me. Guilt gnawed at me, but the need for answers was stronger. I unlocked her phone with the passcode I knew by heart, our anniversary, of course, and navigated to her messages. There it was. A conversation with Ethan, stretching back weeks. Casual at first, then increasingly flirtatious, then explicit. Pictures, plans, promises, my blood ran cold. The words blurred. I felt like I was going to be sick. I scrolled through the messages, each one a fresh stab wound. He'd picked her up from the airport. They'd spent the weekend together at the Brown Palace, the same hotel from the notification. They'd relived old memories and apparently made some new ones. I closed the phone, my hands shaking. Chloe stirred in her sleep, turning towards me. I wanted to scream, to shake her awake, to demand an explanation. But I couldn't. I just lay there, paralyzed by the weight of the betrayal. The next morning, I was a ghost. I went through the motions of getting ready for work, but I felt detached from my own body. Chloe seemed oblivious, chirping about her meetings and grabbing a quick coffee before heading out the door. Love you, she called, blowing me a kiss. Love. The word felt like a punch to the gut. I called Daniel, my best friend, and told him everything. He listened patiently, offering the kind of practical advice only a longtime friend could give. Okay, Liam, first of all, breathe. Second, don't do anything rash. Don't confront her without a plan. You need to decide what you want. What I want, I scoffed. I want her to tell me this is all a bad dream. I know, man, but that's not going to happen. So do you want to try and fix things, or are you done? I didn't know, I honestly didn't know. I loved Chloe, or I thought I did. But could I ever trust her again? Could I ever look at her without seeing Ethan's face in my mind? I don't know, Dan, I said, my voice cracking. I don't know. Okay. Then figure it out. And I'm here for you, whatever you decide. I spent the day in a fog. I couldn't concentrate on my work. Every email, every phone call felt like a distraction from the gaping hole in my chest. Sarah, a colleague who I occasionally grabbed lunch with, noticed something was off. You okay, Liam? You seem distant. Just a lot on my mind, I mumbled, avoiding eye contact. Anything you want to talk about? I hesitated. I barely knew Sarah, but she had a kind face and a genuine concern in her eyes. It's complicated, I said finally. Life usually is. She replied with a wry smile. But sometimes just talking about it helps. I didn't tell her everything, but I confided in her about the work trip, the suspicions, the feeling that something was wrong. She listened without judgment, offering a sympathetic ear and a few words of encouragement. Trust your gut, Liam, she said. You deserve to be happy. That night, I decided to confront Chloe. I couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. I waited for her to come home, my heart pounding in my chest. When she walked through the door, she seemed surprised to see me. I usually worked late on Tuesdays. Hey, she said, her voice bright. What are you doing here? We need to talk, I said, my voice flat. Chloe's smile faltered. About what? I pulled out her phone and tossed it onto the coffee table. this? She stared at the phone, then at me, her face draining of color. What is this? Don't play dumb, Chloe. I saw the messages. I know about Ethan. The denial lasted for about 5 seconds. Then the tears started. Liam, I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you cheated on me with your ex. Explain how you lied to my face. Explain how you completely shattered my trust. It wasn't like that, she sobbed. It just happened. Just happened. You spent the entire weekend with him. Chloe, that doesn't just happen. She buried her face in her hands. I know. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. Why, Chloe, why would you do this? She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. I don't know, she whispered. I guess I never really got over him. Those words hit me like a physical blow. All this time, all these years, she'd been holding onto something for someone else. So what? You've been settling for me. No, it's not like that. I love you, Liam. I do. Then why? She hesitated, searching for the right words. When I saw him, it just brought back all these memories. We were young and carefree, and I don't know, it felt exciting. Exciting. I repeated, my voice rising. Cheating on me was exciting. No, that's not what I meant. It was just a moment of weakness. I swear it won't happen again. You expect me to believe that. Please, Liam. I'm begging you. Don't throw away everything we have for one mistake. I stared at her, trying to reconcile the woman I loved with the woman who had betrayed me. I saw the tears, the remorse, the genuine pain in her eyes. But I also saw the lingering ghost of Ethan, standing between us like an invisible wall. I needed time. I couldn't make a decision in that moment, surrounded by the wreckage of our shattered trust. I need you to leave, I said, my voice barely a whisper. What? Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Just go. I can't look at you right now. Chloe packed a bag, her sobs echoing through the apartment. As she walked out the door, she turned back to me, her eyes pleading. Liam, please don't give up on us. I didn't say anything. I just watched her go, the door closing behind her with a soft click that sounded like the end of the world. Days turned into weeks. Chloe stayed at her sister's. We talked on the phone, awkward and stilted conversations filled with apologies and recriminations. She told me about her therapy sessions, her attempts to understand why she'd done what she did. She told me how much she missed me, how much she regretted her actions. I listened, but I couldn't bring myself to forgive her. The trust was gone, replaced by a gnawing sense of unease. I found myself constantly checking her phone, scrutinizing her every move. I couldn't sleep, haunted by images of her and Ethan together. Daniel was a constant source of support. He took me out for beers, listened to my endless rants, and reminded me that I deserved to be happy, regardless of what I decided. One evening, I found myself driving past Chloe's childhood home. On impulse, I parked down the street and watched as she walked up the front steps. Her mother answered the door, and they embraced. There was something about the way Chloe leaned into her mother, the vulnerability in her posture, that struck me. It was a side of her I rarely saw. I remembered Chloe telling me about her father leaving when she was young, the impact it had on her, the fear of abandonment that still lingered beneath the surface. Maybe that was part of it, I thought. Maybe Ethan represented a safe, familiar place, a way to recapture a lost sense of security. A week later, Ethan called me. I almost hung up, but something made me listen. Liam, I know this is probably the last thing you want to hear, but I wanted to apologize, he said, his voice surprisingly contrite. What happened with Chloe, it was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. An apology doesn't exactly fix things, I said, my voice cold. No, it doesn't, but I wanted you to know that I regret it. Chloe and we had something a long time ago, but it's over. She loves you, Liam. I know she does. If she loved me, she wouldn't have slept with you. Ethan sighed. I can't explain what happened, but I can tell you that Chloe is a good person. She made a mistake, but she deserves a second chance. His words surprised me. I'd expected him to be arrogant, dismissive, but he seemed genuinely remorseful. I met Chloe for coffee a few days later. It was the first time we'd seen each other in person since she'd left. We sat in silence for a few minutes, the tension thick in the air. So she said finally, "What happens now?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the pain, the regret, the vulnerability. I also saw the woman I had fallen in love with, the woman I had shared my life with for 3 years. I don't know, Chloe, I said honestly. I'm still angry, I'm still hurt. I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. I understand, she said, her voice trembling, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I'll go to therapy, I'll cut off all contact with Ethan, I'll do anything. I took a deep breath. It's not going to be easy, I said. It's going to be a long, hard road. There will be days when I'm angry, when I doubt everything. There will be days when I want to give up. I know, she said, but I'm willing to fight for us, Liam. I'm willing to fight for you. I looked into her eyes, searching for the truth, and I saw it. I saw the love, the regret, the desperate desire to make things right. Okay, I said finally. Okay, let's try. but it has to be all in. No secrets, no lies, no holding back. She reached across the table and took my hand, her fingers intertwining with mine. I promise, she said. I promise to be honest with you. I promise to work hard. I promise to love you always. I squeezed her hand, a glimmer of hope flickering in my chest. But I knew even as I said the words that things would never be the same. The trust was broken, the innocence lost. We were starting over, building something new on the ruins of what we had. The road ahead would be long and difficult, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. Or maybe we wouldn't. Only time would tell. I knew that time would be the only thing that will tell if we would survive the test of infidelity. All I had to do now was just wait. I did not ask her if she was worth waiting for. I would come to know in time.